got this one. I got it.
Go on, Bear. Let's just keep walking.
Не дошел нахуй. И вся дела нахуй.
Oh my God!
What's up?
Holy
you good?
shit!
What's up? What happened?
Not every outdoor trip turns dangerous right away. Sometimes it begins with a quiet fishing spot, until a human bone is found near the water. Other times, it is a peaceful forest cabin, until a stranger appears on camera in the trees. When nature goes silent and something feels wrong, would you stay long enough to find out why? The video was posted on May 10th, 2026. A Fisherman's Life is a channel that is easy to understand. As its name implies, the channel is mainly about fishing. The creator makes videos where he does more than just catch fish. He also prepares and cooks them on camera, creating the kind of content that makes viewers suddenly feel like going to the kitchen to find something to eat. But in this particular video, what began as another regular fishing trip turned into something strange enough to make both him and his friend uneasy.
So I'm going to start here and fish right in front of me and then fish downstream a little bit. Let's do a first cast close. If there's fish, they'll come up and get it too. Come on, baby. Fish on. Oh, bite. Yep, definitely a bite. 100% a bite. I could feel it too. I don't have the indicator, but I'm tight to my line.
During the trip, they moved to another location and found something unexpected.
Now, this is kind of cool. Look at this. Is that man-made?
Yeah.
No doubt about it, right?
Oh yeah.
I feel like I'm with an Amazon tracker. We're at this new spot in the middle of nowhere, and Jim thinks this is a human bone. I have no degree in bones. That doesn't look like a human bone, huh?
It does, Joe.
If I touch it, will I get cursed?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Just to give you a sense of the scale. Huh.
Put it next to your leg. Dude, that looks like a human.
Dang.
I think so. It'd be right here under my kneecap is where it would start. That's a human bone. I'm not even kidding, dude.
Yeah, maybe it'll bring us luck.
Hopefully.
Bad luck or?
At first, it looked like it might have been nothing more than a strange piece of bone, but the longer they examined it, the more unsettling it appeared. It had a shape that made them question whether it could possibly be human, and even though they were not sure, that thought was difficult to ignore. Strangely, they still continued fishing after finding it, but after he returned home, the image of that bone remained in his mind. He started thinking about what it might actually be. If it was human, it could have belonged to someone who died in that area and was later scattered by animals, or it could have been something even more disturbing, connected to someone who had been killed and left there. Eventually, he decided it was too serious to dismiss and contacted the police to report what they had found.
You have reached the El Dorado County Sheriff's Office, non-emergency.
Hi, I was fishing in the South Fork of the American River on Saturday, and I came across what I think is a human tibia, but I'm not sure. I just wanted to report that.
And you think you came across a human tibia?
I asked my friend who was an EMT, and he's a nurse, and I asked a couple people, and they said that that's what it looks like. And I was making a fishing video, so I have it all on camera.
After that call, a police officer contacted him again after reviewing the video. The officer confirmed that the bone was indeed human, which immediately made the situation far more serious. A few days later, the officer asked the YouTuber to return to the area and show the exact location where it had been discovered. They went back. The police collected the bone for investigation, and he was later given a case number. In cases like this, even a small bone can become important evidence. Its location, condition, and the area surrounding it may help investigators understand whether it was carried by water, animals, or something else. That is why people are usually advised not to touch anything suspicious and to report it exactly where it was found. Since then, there has been no official update, and because the discovery is still fairly recent, there may not be enough information yet. if that bone truly belonged to someone still missing, this discovery may have been the first step toward answers. But until more is known, the question remains, how did it end up there in the first place? The video was uploaded by the YouTube channel Brock Jonason on August 24th, 2012. Brock Jonason is someone who has always enjoyed fishing and being outdoors, but filming himself or posting videos online was never really something he had planned to do. That changed during one fishing trip in Alaska, when he encountered a situation so unusual that he took out his camera and started recording. Later, he realized the footage was too wild to keep to himself, so he uploaded it to YouTube, where the video quickly began getting attention from viewers.
Smells us now. They can cover a lot of ground quick. Where was that? I think he's just gonna go around us. Just chill. Hey, bear. Go on. Go on, bear. Go on, bear.
From far away, they saw a grizzly bear moving through the area, and it was obviously huge. It appeared comfortable coming toward them, even while Brock had bear spray ready in his hand. Having a grizzly get that close is the type of moment that can make your adrenaline spike instantly. Then there was his friend, holding a stick like he was getting ready to defend them in some old medieval battle. But the scary part was not just that the bear came closer, it also started behaving more aggressively.
Go on, bear. Go on, bear. Go on, bear. Go on, bear. Let's just keep walking. Just look away. Go on, bear. Go on, bear. Just keep backing away, dude. Go on, bear. Keep looking away.
The longer the footage continues, the more obvious it becomes that the bear was not leaving. It kept moving closer and seemed to become more intense with each passing moment. The men handled the situation very well. They stayed in control and did not allow fear to take over. Some people who have never seen a bear in real life might watch the clip and think it did not seem that dangerous. But in reality, bears usually do not come that close to people unless something is wrong, or they feel confident. Eventually, they were able to drive it away, or maybe the bear finally realized that it was not wanted there. Either way, the video clearly shows that this was a very tense moment, and their hearts were racing the whole time. One reason they got away was that they did not run, yell, or turn away from the bear. They kept looking at it, moved back carefully, and made themselves appear like a threat instead of easy prey. Brock also had bear spray prepared, which may have helped to stop the bear from fully charging. Maybe the bear was simply angry because they were taking fish from its territory. It only had teeth and claws, while the men arrived fully prepared with fishing rods, equipment, and lures. But when a wild animal closes that gap and still refuses to go away, the real question is simple. Was it only curious, or was it already choosing what to do next? Theo, the creator of the channel, My Name is Theo, records his travels across the country with his companion, Lars. His videos show an unfiltered view of life on the road. The good moments, the hard parts, and everything that comes between them. But during one part of his cross-country journey, Theo discovered that the silence of the wilderness can feel much more frightening than the endless noise of a city. After spending a long day driving, Theo started looking for somewhere to sleep and chose a dispersed camping spot listed inside the vast stretch of Talladega National Forest in Alabama. On paper,
we found this spot, Talladega National Forest. From what I've read, it seems like it's got dispersed camping. It's an hour, it's like 50 minutes away. and it's close to where I'm going, so it's not out of the way. Because from right here where I am right now to where I'm going tomorrow, it's like, wait, hold on. I think it might actually get me closer. Okay. I just realized that it actually...
It sounded perfect, isolated, quiet, and well placed for the next section of his trip. But once he got there, the feeling was not comforting at all.
Super sketchy. This is the campsite, apparently, and I can just park, I guess, anywhere. I don't see anyone here. This is like super duper sketchy. Like, if I saw other cars, I'd be like, okay.
The campsite was completely empty, covered in a deep darkness that his headlights could barely cut through. What should have been a simple and calm stop instead felt deserted and deeply uneasy. Even though Theo had traveled a lot, even taking part in conservation cruises, he was usually around other people. But here, by himself in the forest, the silence felt heavy and suffocating. Things became worse when he realized his headlamp could not be used because he did not have the right batteries.
And I'm gonna have to crack the windows because it is hot. I was gonna put the tailgate tent up, but it's just so dark you can't even see. I don't have batteries for my headlamp. All I have is AA. I thought I was good with just the AA. Nope, needed AAA for the headlamp. So yeah, that was a mistake there. So I can't really put the awning thing up, the tailgate awning that I have, because
with only his phone flashlight to depend on, he could not properly set up his tailgate tent. With no better option, he stayed inside the vehicle, opening the window slightly to reduce the heat, something that let mosquitoes in and made him feel exposed to whatever else might be close by. The van, which had once felt like a safe place, started to feel more like a cage. Every noise from the woods around him worked on his nerves, and every small movement reminded him how vulnerable he was. He tried to take his mind off it by watching a movie on his laptop, but the feeling of being watched never fully went away. The faint voices he believed he heard stayed in his thoughts. Were they other campers or something else entirely? The night went by without any direct encounter, but the psychological pressure stayed with him. The darkness, the silence, and the weight of being alone left a mark on his memory, remaining with him long after he had driven away from the forest. For Theo, it became a reminder that sometimes the strongest fear does not come from an animal hiding nearby, but from realizing how exposed you really are. What made this experience so scary was not a confrontation, but the feeling of losing control. Without proper light or a secure setup, Theo was left alone with uncertainty and in the wilderness. Uncertainty itself can feel like a predator. Have you ever felt that kind of fear in complete darkness, when your own thoughts become louder than everything around you? Do you think Theo's fear came only from isolation, or could someone or something have been just outside the reach of his headlights? The next case begins on the frozen banks of the Ordeja River near Vera, a small village south of St. Petersburg, Russia. It happened during the yearly Orthodox Epiphany tradition, a ritual where people step into icy water to honor the baptism of Jesus Christ, practiced as both a spiritual act and a test of endurance in severe cold. Among the people there was Anna Uskov, a 40-year-old lawyer and mother of 2. She moved forward as many others had done that day, taking part in a ceremony that had been repeated for generations. Witnesses, including her children, watched as she entered an opening cut through the ice in the river. The air was freezing. Under the surface, the current was moving faster than anyone standing along the edge could see. For a brief moment, everything followed the ritual as planned. Then it did not. Within seconds, she lost control in the water and was pulled underneath. The calm of the ceremony shattered immediately. Her children shouted for help. Her husband entered the river after her, but the water was close to 0 degrees. The current was strong, and nothing worked fast enough. The scene on the riverbank became chaotic quickly. Bystanders tried to help, but the same ice that had created the ritual space now blocked access and limited visibility. There was little anyone could safely do before she vanished beneath the surface. Footage spread online afterward, showing the moment the ceremony turned into panic, people gathering around the hole in the ice, movement becoming frantic as she went under. Emergency responders were called, but when divers arrived, The conditions made the search extremely difficult.
Все, поехали потихоньку. Проверка связи сразу. Налево, направо крутись, через правое плечо крутись.
Давно не обеспечено.
Currents beneath the ice reduced visibility to almost nothing. Authorities later said the opening had been cut in a dangerous part of the river, an area already known locally for unpredictable water movement and drownings, even outside winter. Officials described it as one of the most dangerous stretches in the region, where currents can carry objects far from where they entered. Despite repeated diving attempts and an extensive search, Anna Uskov was never found. The river gave nothing back, and no clear trace was recovered. The case remains one of the most cited examples of how quickly a structured winter ritual can break apart, and how little time there is to react once it does. Her disappearance has never been fully resolved. Some places leave no room for mistakes and no way to undo what happens once conditions take control. What do you think is harder to accept, that the danger was already there before anyone stepped in, or that there was no way to know? On January 11th, 2022, a road crew was following its normal route, clearing a quiet rural section after a night of heavy snow. The job was routine. The crew had fallen into the familiar rhythm of winter maintenance. Nothing strange. Nothing that could prepare them for what happened next. Then the plow broke through a thick wall of packed ice, and something beneath it stopped everything. From far away, it appeared to be a pile of winter clothing left beside the road. But as the workers got closer, the shape no longer matched that idea. It was not abandoned gear. It was a man frozen completely solid.
Оп, чик, хуяк, лежит нахуй, остыл, не дошел нахуй. И вся дела нахуй. Он скреб куда-то, решил тут прилечь нахуй.
Lying half covered in snow. What made the discovery even more difficult to understand was the ground around him. The fresh snow was entirely untouched. The surface was smooth in every direction, as though he had simply been there the whole time without ever arriving. He was dressed for the cold, but the cold had taken him anyway. The workers stepped back and called local authorities. No tracks, no context. Nothing that explained how a man ended up frozen in the middle of a cleared road with no sign of how he got there. This footage remains online, a still, silent image of someone whose final hours left nothing behind. Cases like this create questions that are not always answered about how someone ends up somewhere with no visible path leading there. What do you think happened before that road crew arrived? On December 25th, 2025, the Sargi family posted a video from their secluded cabin property, where the channel often records daily chores, land upkeep, and survival preparation in the woods. The video opens with the group already deep in outdoor work, treating the land less like an ordinary backyard and more like a place that always has to be cleared, maintained, and kept under control. They begin by widening the access road, cutting farther into the forest so the cabin can still be reached before winter closes in. Fallen trees are dragged aside with a winch, blocked sections are opened, and for a short time, the property feels clear again. But as snow begins to build up, the work becomes more defensive. Plowing begins early, firewood is stacked, and tools are checked between each task. Everything slowly becomes a matter of holding the line before the weather takes over. Then something interrupts the normal routine. A trail camera near the tree line records movement that does not fit the usual stillness. At first, it seems like only a figure near the edge of the woods, easy to overlook. But after the footage is reviewed, it becomes clear that a man with a dog steps into view and stops just before the open ground. He does not continue walking forward. Instead, he appears for a moment and then disappears almost as quickly. In a quiet place like this, where there is almost nothing nearby for miles except forest and a cabin, the moment feels wrong. He is not moving like someone lost or simply passing through. He stays in the bushes, as though watching the property, checking it, and then hiding the moment he feels exposed. The dog stays close, but the man's attention seems to remain on the cabin. Later, the creator watches the footage more than once. Trying to understand what he captured, he searches around the property, checks the nearby area, and returns to the camera angles, but nothing explains it. There are no tracks, no later signs, and no clear reason why someone would stop there, hide, watch, and then disappear completely. In a place where almost nothing moves without a reason, that behavior does not feel easy to dismiss. It may have been an innocent moment, but the way he stopped and vanished makes it difficult to view it that simply. If someone appeared like that near your cabin, would you wait for answers or leave before dark? Would you stay in a cabin after something screamed behind you in the woods? They tried, but once the sounds began inside the cabin, leaving felt like the only real option. Jasko Vlogs follows Jasko on camping trips and paranormal investigations. On March 6, 2025, Jasko and his friend Chris rented a cabin inside a haunted forest. After spending hours searching for an abandoned house tied to satanic rituals, they believed the forest would be the scariest part of the night. They did not expect the cabin itself to become worse.
My friend Chris and I traveled deep within this forest to search for this abandoned house. Rumor says that this house was the site of several satanic rituals and blood offerings. So we actually got ourselves a cabin within this haunted forest to stay the night in. It wasn't a calm or quiet night. It seems that maybe something may have followed us from the forest to this cabin. We encountered things such as things moving or being knocked over, doors closing, and even at certain points we heard voices from what sounded like within the cabin. I genuinely don't know what was scarier, the cabin or the forest, but regardless, you're going to see it all right here.
Jasko was alone in the forest when he heard a scream and a whistle somewhere behind him. Then the noise grew louder. It felt as though something was rushing directly toward him through the snow. He stumbled backward and called out for Chris. When Jasko reached Chris, he was clearly shaken.
Oh shit, hold on. What was that? Whoa, that was a whistle. Hello? Whoa! Okay, I know you guys just heard that. I almost feel like I want to say something.
Indecipherable.
Chris? Is that you? Whoa! That's a scream. That's a whistle. What? What the f? Oh! What the f? Yo! Oh! Shit! Oh my god!
He explained that it sounded like something had charged straight at him.
Yo! My god!
What's up?
Holy
shit! What's up? What happened? Damn. You okay?
Dog, on everything I love. You didn't hear the scream?
No.
Holy shit, the scream? And it sounded like someone just started charging at me. What is this thing even saying right now? Evil Dead, it just said.
Oh god.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Okay, let's not split up anymore.
There it is.
Paranormal, yeah, I agree. Okay, we're not gonna split up anymore. That was a bad idea.
Back at the cabin, Jasko tried to challenge whatever was there to communicate. Then a heavy thump came from another part of the cabin, loud enough to make both of them react immediately.
I feel like you could do a little bit better than this, Raymond. Can you?
Oh my! What the fuck is that? Let's put the door up.
Cabins can make nighttime noises feel much bigger than they truly are. Wood expands, shifts, and carries vibration through walls and floors. But when a loud crash comes from an empty room at the worst possible moment, it becomes difficult to ignore. Both of them turned around and looked at each other. A chair had fallen in another room. Nobody had been inside that room.
Oh shit! Chris!
Oh my god.
The chair!
What the f, bro?
Okay.
That's insane.
That's a heavy chair to... That was definitely that.
I think Raymond is mad at you. You have to like make amends.
Yeah. Go ahead and do that. Hello?
Later, Jasko said Bloody Mary twice. Before he could say it a third time, his flashlight was knocked off the table by itself.
I'm gonna try a good old Bloody Mary. You know what that is? Alright, well here's how we're gonna play. I'm gonna say Bloody Mary 3 times and you're gonna appear in this mirror in front of me, alright? Alright, let's do it. You ready? Yeah? Okay. Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary.
What the f, bro? I'm so sorry.
Then something crashed on the other side of the cabin, in a completely different room. The sound echoed through the entire place. Jasko was across the room, and Chris was still where Jasko could see him. Neither of them was close to either object.
Holy shit. Bro, did you hear that fucking thud over there? From the other side of the house? Like, boom.
I was looking at that.
Holy shit.
Why are you here? Why are you in this cabin?
Because. Are you okay? It just like fell off?
They just got thrown off.
Eventually, Jasko set the camera down and tried to get some sleep. The cabin had been quiet for a few minutes. Then the door to his room slammed. He sat up instantly, scrambling in the dark and trying to understand whether the door had opened or closed. He grabbed the camera, hoping it had recorded what happened, because the sound was loud enough to wake the whole cabin.
Oh shit! Oh my god! Oh my... The door! The f***ing door! Yo!
What was that? Bro, what just happened?
The f***ing door just... Oh my god! I really hope that fucking camera's recording right now. What the...
So loud.
Holy shit. How the f... I know that camera had to have caught it. I'm so uncomfortable right now. I'm so uncomfortable right now.
Chris was also recording when his own door suddenly slammed shut behind him. He had not closed it, and nobody else had closed it. He called out for Jasko, but the cabin around him remained completely silent.
I do not understand what is going on tonight, you guys. I don't think you guys, if you ever slept in like a haunted house, tried to sleep somewhere that was haunted, this is not fun. I don't wish this upon. What the f***? My f***ing door just closed! Where the f*** is my flashlight? Jeez. Guys, I don't know, like, I'm just mean here. I don't know what the f*** is going on. What the f*** is going on tonight? Jazz.
Then Jasko finally said what he was thinking. He was finished. He could not stay there anymore.
Look at you, you're just fucking sleeping like a little angel over there. My door just slammed behind me. I literally caught it on camera. My door just slammed closed. You can do what you want, bro. I think I'm generally gonna go sleep in the truck. I'm gonna start it up right now. Like, I really don't mind if you sleep in here, but I can't do it. I cannot do this.
He wanted to sleep in the truck. Maybe the cabin had normal explanations hidden in its walls, floors, and doors. Maybe the forest had made both men too tense to trust anything they heard. But when two people hear the same crashes, and doors move while no one is near them, would you stay inside until morning? A hunter went back to his private woods after a violent storm, expecting only to check his trail cameras. Instead, he found a boot print near his gear. Days later, his camera captured something stranger, a solo woodsman and hunter from the channel. Welcome to the Woods returned to his private stretch of timber to check his trail cameras. The video was uploaded on June 4th, 2024. A massive storm had recently moved through, and the forest felt different that day, heavy, quiet, and strangely tense.
Hello everybody, I'd like to welcome you back to the woods once again. Right, believe me, I have not neglected coming in here. I've been in here quite frequently. I did bivvy bag the other side of the woodland, took the cameras with me, but nothing really happened, and I didn't really use it as a bushcraft sort of experience. It was more of a camp out and see what happens, and nothing really happened. We've had one hell of a storm come in here the last couple of days, so I'm just coming in to check the cameras, make sure they're all still okay. We've got no big trees down.
He had been bivvy bagging in the area often, but the mood in the woods had shifted. The storm was gone, yet a strange silence remained between the wet trees. Then he suddenly stopped. A large boot print, much bigger than his own, was pressed deep into the mud right beside his survival gear. A wave of anxiety hit him as he realized he was not the only person moving along those private trails.
I have found some really bizarre tracks today. This boot print doesn't match my boot print. It is very strange and it's quite big. So it's definitely a man or someone that wears a very, very big shoe. I'll just spin you around to show you it. Look at that. That's massive.
After heavy rain, soft mud can hold footprints with surprising detail that can make tracks easier to notice. but also harder to ignore. In a quiet woodland, one fresh-looking print near your gear can instantly change how safe the place feels. Wanting answers, he attached a live CCTV camera to a tree. His hands were unsteady as he tightened the straps. The whole time, he felt uneasy, as if something hidden in the thick brush was watching him.
And I do feel really, really jittery today. I've come in here a few times since, obviously, checked on the cabin ruin, and I've bought some pilings in for my new cabin, sledgehammered in the ground and packed out, and then a frame built on top of that. But obviously that's some distance away from the spot we're at now. So what I'll do is I'll put this camera up and I'll just quickly show you towards the end. I'm probably going to give it a little while before I camp in here. I'm going to see what this camera produces on live footage. So we are live.
On a later trip, he camped at the far edge of the forest, hoping to catch whoever had been moving through the area. After a successful hunt, his face began to burn and sting with a strange pins and needles sensation, leaving him feeling exposed in the dark.
My face is sort of stinging after rubbing off all that camo cream. I've got these new white, and I don't think it's agreed with me. It doesn't look red. I can feel like pins and needles, like a burning, like almost like an acidic-y sort of stinging nettle sort of feel. It's awful at the minute. Might have to wash it off with some warm water in a minute.
Then, in the middle of the night, heavy footsteps crunched just outside his shelter. A blood-curdling scream followed, tearing through the canopy. He did not wait to hear it again. At the first break of daylight, he packed his gear and left.
There's definitely someone out there. Fuck's sakes. 2 seconds. Hello? I'll be honest with you, I feel like going. That might be exactly what I do. Seeing at the break of daylight, I did decide to pack up and get going quite early. There was nothing more that happened that trip. I must admit, I was more concerned that someone was walking around injured or out there hurt.
Days later, he checked the live feed from home. At 4:00 a.m, a strange, distorted figure appeared on camera. It seemed to reach toward a high branch with unusual movements before vanishing into the gray mist. Maybe someone had discovered his cameras and was moving through the woods on purpose. Maybe the storm, the mud, and the darkness made everything harder to understand. But when a private forest shows footprints, screams, and a strange figure on camera, would you go back alone? That's it for tonight. Which moment creep? Drop it in the comments. Have your own story. Share it with us, and stay tuned. The next one is even darker.